This is a 2-pack of AreTop SD cards. So these guys would cost you $27 if you wanted to purchase them. I've received them to review for free. I have not been paid for my review, and so my opinions are my own. So in the pack, you just get the plastic here with 2 of these cards. There we go. And they say they're U3 or Class 10 SDXC. It says V30. They claim 100 megabits per second read speed max and 45 megabits per second write speed max. So first step is just put these in a couple of different digital cameras. I've actually had cards that fail to work right out of the box in a digital camera. So we're going to try a couple of different cameras just to make sure the cards are recognized. So it says here, memory card cannot be read. You may be able to format the card. So this particular digital camera has run into issues with some cards before. So it says formatting SD card, do not turn off the unit until complete. All right, so we formatted the card. We're going to exit out of the settings. It appears to be, let's see here. Nope, it's not able to read the card. It's using internal memory. It only shows 5 photos. So let me turn it off and turn it back on. And yeah, memory card cannot be read. So this particular camera I've found to be touchy. Now it's worked with other SD cards from other brands, but I've found that this particular camera has some incompatibility with a lot of the generic, brands you haven't heard of before, and it's having that problem with this particular card. So I've had generic cards work okay in this camera. Let's give it a shot. So it appears to be working just fine in this camera. I can take pictures, I can record videos, so it's working fine in this camera. I'm also going to take this guy out here and try it in a different camera. Alright, so it's preparing image database file. Please wait. So it's detected a new card. According to this, it appears to be working okay. I'm going to record up. Hold on. Cannot record in this recording setting. Either switch to UHSI U3 compatible memory card or change the record setting. Alright, so that's an issue. So this claims to be a U3 compatible card. In my Sony camera, when I do XAV CS 4K, it gives an error message. It says, to perform shooting with this setting, use a UHSI U3 compatible memory card. So it's implying that this guy is not meeting the U3 setting. Now, if I go down to HD resolution, it has no problem with that. So it will record a HD video no problem with this card. But if I go in here and I try to change this up to a 4K video, which it's supposed to work with a U3 card, it just doesn't do that. So it can't record this recording setting. Either switch to a U3 compatible memory card or change the record settings. I am going to take a few pictures. Alright, so it's hit kind of the recording buffer in the camera, and now we've hit the card write speed maximum. And so you can see, I was able to buffer a lot of images into the memory in the camera, but now, here's this, about one every second and a half. So this might not be the type of card you would use for a super high-end camera. You'd probably want a U3 card or something better. But it certainly works and it performs okay as long as you're not trying to record video in the absolute highest resolution. So it does appear to be working in these 2 cameras. So this Kodak camera here I've found is a little touchy with memory cards. I've had it work with other memory cards just fine, but I've also had it not work with various generic memory cards or less well-known brand memory cards. So if working with every single camera is an issue for you, this may not work with every single camera. Now it does work with some of these bigger name cameras, and so that might be a problem with this particular camera more so than the card. However, I'll point out that I have other cards that do work correctly with this camera. Alright, so this card has been straight from the factory, not formatted by any camera. It has an EXFAT version 1.0 file system. NTFS, EXFAT, HPFS is the partition type. And so it just has one big partition, 128 gigabytes. So we're going to copy that guy over to my temp directory. And I expect that the speed is going to be very much about the same as with my previous copy. So it says here 17.3 megabytes a second as opposed to the 21 megabytes a second. And that might be because it's the EXFAT file system as opposed to a different type of file system. But I don't know if that's being limited by the card reader or the card, but I can tell you for sure you can definitely copy files at 17 megabytes a second off of this card. Alright, it wrote a 1 gigabyte file in 91 seconds. That's 11.7 megabytes a second. That's about half of the read speed through this particular USB adapter. It might have faster read and write speeds through a different adapter. So yeah, given the fact it didn't work in one of my 3 cameras and the fact that it didn't meet its U3 specification in my other camera, I'm not really recommending these cards. I guess if you needed something with, large storage, cheap cost, you didn't need it to be super fast, it's probably an acceptable SD card for that type of usage. But it's not living up to its specifications, and it has potential incompatibilities with certain cameras. So, this isn't really something you can just buy. You might buy one and try it out, and if it works for your particular usage scenario, if you're buying 1,000 of them and price is a big point, do your testing, make sure it works for you before you depend on this card is basically my recommendation. And if you just want something that works, don't buy this card.